Good morning, everybody. We
Good
are
morning.
live and we're ZatZoom. We're live on Living Well and Wise. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today?
Good, good. Just trying to stay warm after coming back from Florida. It's cold up here in Michigan.
Yeah, and I don't envy you at all, but I'm really happy where I'm at. You happy, Mary?
I am very happy.
Because you used to live in New York too, right?
Yes, Brooklyn, born and bred.
Yep. So we've got more information to share with you today about loving yourself, and we're going to do that in the realm of social wellness, your social relationships, how you socialize. All of those things matter to your health, as we'll find out. But first, I have to ask the question, what's in your diffuser? Got anything going, Kath?
I just have Northern Lights Black Spruce going in mine today.
That's a good one. I have that in my husband's office well, not every day because I've gotten lazy about putting it on, but that's one that I've got going all the time. Today I have, I think it's called Rainbow, and it's whatever my Saturday March diffuser recipe is. In fact, I can share it with you. And it smells kind of amazing. 2 geranium, 2 grapefruit, 2 lemon, 2 lime, 2 lavender, 2 myrtle. Almost sounds like a cocktail. And it smells great. It smells good. So
Sounds
I love
very
all
uplifting.
Yeah, uplifting. The citrus smells are really good. So there you go. It's called Rainbow. And the funny thing is I put all the oils away, but when you had it out, like each oil was a different color. The label, so it did look like a rainbow. So that was fun. So now we're all set, and are you ready to love yourself? Everybody, give yourself a hug. Hug yourself, Mary.
I'm the only one who ever hugs me, so I might as well do it often.
Right. So yeah, and this is a great topic for this time in our lives where we're not supposed to be socializing. We're not supposed to be out as much. Social distancing is just the opposite of getting enough socialization and to improve your social health. So I will again post all of the links where, in the underneath this video in Living Well and Wise. The video will also be later put on Linda Loves Lavender /Zoom, lindaloveslavender.com/Zoom. For reference, it'll stay up for a month. But all of those links are available if you don't get them. But we're going to start with Dr. Josh Axe, who's a chiropractor, and he loves practicing natural wellness. He says that research shows that social relationships affect our mental, behavioral, and physical health and mortality rate or mortality risk. Social relationships can have both short-term and long-term effects on our health, for better or for worse. And he cited some research from Smith and Christakis, I don't know how you say his name. And they say social scientists have studied several distinct features of social connection by offering relationships. Social isolation refers to the relative absence of social relationships. Social integration refers to an overall level of involvement with informal relationships, such as having a spouse, with formal social relationships, such as those with religious institutions or volunteer organizations. Quality of relationship includes positive aspects of relationships, such as emotional support provided by significant others, and strained aspects of relationships, such as conflict and stress. So your social relationships can be bad. And so choose wisely, I suppose. And then social networks refer to the web of social relationships surrounding an individual, and the type and strength of each social relationship. And as we know, any kind of web can be interwoven with, so you have friends and you have relatives, but sometimes your relatives are your friends, and sometimes your friends feel like relatives, right? You call them
Right.
family.
Right. Well, with all of that too, sometimes if you don't have good social relationships, you may have like what we would call poor social health or physical health. So that can impact your social health. If you're stressed, if you're anxious about different things, or if you're just feeling lonely and different things, it can cause inflammation in your system. It could cause issues with your heart, high blood pressure. It could have your immune system be suppressed. It can cause chronic health conditions and possibly even some mental health issues, feeling lonely, depression, all of that.
Right. That's crazy. So social self-care involves fostering positive relationships, providing and seeking emotional support. So it's a two-way street. You should not just be seeking people to support you, but you also support others. And we'll talk a little bit about that later when we talk about acts of kindness and things like that. And it also involves social networks that allow you to socialize from a distance. Because nowadays that's what we need to do. And, the nuclear family as it once was is no longer. Like, I remember when I was a kid, my grandparents lived around the corner. My uncles and my aunts, they lived all close by. So we saw family every week. We went to dinner at my grandmother's house every single week, and we had that relationship. I don't know if it started before my generation, but like I had to move when I got married. My husband was 8-hour drive away. So we moved away. Then later on, my parents moved away. They came down to Florida. So then we were like 20 hours away. And so that nuclear family that we once depended on for those relationships are mostly long distance now. So we really have to learn strategies for keeping that relationship strong, right? So what is social wellness? Social well-being can be defined as our ability to effectively interact with people around us and to create a support system that includes family and friends. It fosters connection with others and contributes to a sense of belonging, which is important for optimal wellness. Some of the research that I found talked about social wellness and how it relates to your professional wellness. So how it relates to your work. If you have healthy social relationships, you're less stressed, you're more productive, you're healthier overall, you serve the company better, you're more creative, more resilient, and you have more self-confidence. And those with healthier social relationships are more loyal to the company. So having a social life can improve things at work for you. Getting back to Josh Axe, he states 5 different actions to improve your social wellness. I'm just going to state them really fast, and then we're going to go back to number 1 and talk a little bit in detail. Yeah. So 1, engage in face-to-face interactions. Number 2, nurture your relationships. Number 3, practice small acts of kindness. Number 4, send messages and notes to loved ones. And number 5, get involved in the community. So let's talk about face-to-face interactions is number 1. This allows us to build positive, meaningful connections. So you all know, like when you try to interact through, I don't know, texting or messaging or even email, there's something lost there, right? you don't get the body language. You don't get the facial reactions. I mean, a lot of people talk with their whole body. So you missed out on that, but you also miss out on their facial reactions and their expressive communication. And emojis just don't cut it there, right?
No.
So whenever possible, engage in that face-to-face. You have more clear and concise communication that way, and it builds a relationship. It's so easy to have a fake or phony relationship when you're just texting somebody back and forth, right? And a lot of times, what do you get? You send out a heartfelt message on your email or your text or messaging, and somebody gives you an emoji or a thumbs up, right? Or even, something you post on social media, like on Facebook, and people are like, thumbs up. And to me, that means, oh, that's Linda, I better give her a thumbs up. I don't even know if they wrote it, So commenting would be the next step, right? So at least you know that you're interacting a little bit. But again, going back to face-to-face interaction whenever you can is going to build that relationship more. And it boosts your effectiveness. What does that say about that? It makes it efficient. My husband always yells at me and he goes, why are you texting? Why don't you just call the person and talk to them? And I'm like, well, because sometimes what you have to say can be said in just a text, right? That you don't need to take that time. But if you do have an important message, it's so much better to do it face-to-face if you can, right? Even a phone call is better than texting, although still in a phone call, you don't read the body language.
Right. And then when you're face to face with someone, you want to maintain that eye contact too when you're talking to them. You don't just want to be, like gazing around. You want them to know you're listening actively, or you're actively listening to what they're saying. So being a good listener is all part of that, good, healthy face-to-face interactions. And, your body language, like you mentioned, is, always a key thing, I think too. So if you're kind of turned away from someone ready to shoot off and they're telling you a story, what is that saying to them? That's telling them, hey, I'm in a hurry. I can't talk right now. Back off.
You're not important.
Yeah, you're not important. Yeah, you need to engage. Maybe, I'm not saying get right in their face, but, you need to be facing them and showing them that you are listening to what they're saying. And it doesn't mean you have to respond at every, at the end of every sentence. You want them to know you're absorbing it too. So then you can sit back and listen for, however long it takes. Then you can have a good response back to them. And that's that social interaction. That's that engaging in a positive way.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and the last part about that is whenever you have something of a sensitive nature to communicate, you have to do that face to face.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it's just respect for other people, and I think that we've kind of lost that. The generation of, it's just crazy that people don't do that eye to eye, and they think it's okay to break up with somebody on a text. We're done, goodbye. I mean, that's not respectful, and I feel like we're a society where manners are kind of going out the door and anything goes because, well, we have this technology, we have to use it, but there's no what's the word I want? I didn't take my mind wise today. There's no, it's a simple word, it's not coming to me. No excuse for manners. That wasn't quite what I was going to say, but we're moving on so we don't get stuck here in Facebook land and Zoom land here. Okay. So, number 2 is to nurture those relationships, right? And that's something that I struggle with because I'm isolated. I used to have a more full, well, we probably all had a more full social life at one point before COVID, but moving down to Florida, I don't know as many people, so if Denise isn't available next door, I don't go anywhere. Or I don't do anything, or I go out with my husband. I tagged along with him this week and went to the driving range, and my arm still hurts. I got to fix that. Before you come down, Kathy, I'm trying to, improve my swing and maybe get out on the golf course and practice. But
Oh, that would be fun.
yeah. But you have to nurture those relationships. And again, it can't just be a thumbs up or, a like or a love on Facebook, but you really do have to reach out to people. And it can be, you can use texting and you can use messaging to reach out initially, but there's nothing wrong with a phone call or using some of the new technology of on Facebook itself. You can get into Messenger and do a video call or do a phone call through there. But a video call is just like a FaceTime, but you can do it through Facebook. And Kathy and I do that every week. We do face-to-face interactions as we talk about, whatever this show is going to be for the week and plan. But other ways to do this, I found a really good website about all aspects of your health. It's myamericannurse.com. And then they talk about wellness in different areas, but in their social wellness, they have a list of things that they say are really positive for nurturing your relationship. And the first one, of course, is disconnect to connect. Turn off your social media, turn off the phone, just turn it off, close it down. And I'm going to share with you a video today, and let me see if I can figure out how to do that. I'm going to share my screen. It's just a 2-minute video, but I felt like it's one that is meaningful. So I'm going to share that and see if I can get back. Can you see it? All right, I'll make it full screen, make it even better. No sound, I don't think, other than the music. That gets me.
So powerful and so true. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, you can
And
really
you
see
see it all the time, especially like you get a whole, oops, sorry. I forgot to get rid of it and turn it off. Yeah, and especially sometimes you see like a whole bunch of kids together and they're all doing this. It's like, hello, talk to each
When-
other. You know?
Have you gone out to dinner and have seen 4 kids, maybe older kids or adults, whatever, sitting down and they all are doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's having a conversation. The food comes, they put down their thing and then they eat.
After they take
And
it.
then, yeah, after they take a picture and post it, you're right. And then they're back at it again. And I mean, it's so true at the different stores. You see parents on the playground with their kids, and the kids are off doing whatever, and they're sitting there like this. Kid could fall off the swing or get hurt or something. The parent wouldn't even know about it because they're just, so you do have to stay connected, you know,
Right. And
watching, listening, talking.
yeah, in real life, not
In
on
real life.
virtual life.
Exactly. Exactly.
Some other ways that they suggest for nurturing these relationships besides disconnecting: improve your communication skills. So learn to use I statements. So if you have a conflict with somebody, don't make it all about you did this, you did that. Make it about I felt this. You know, when
Right.
you did this, I felt this. I feel like, and that way you put it back on yourself, and that person doesn't feel as threatened. There's still
Right.
a conflict there, but
But maybe they did.
you know, it's
Maybe
like that
they-
old, sorry, it's that old
It's okay.
line, like, it's not you, it's me, right?
Yeah. But maybe they didn't realize how they were coming across. So that's kind of a
Right.
wake up for them too, when you tell them how you felt when they either said something or did something, and you say, you know what, that really made me feel whatever. And it'll go back on, I mean, you're taking it on yourself, but you're also letting them know that, that wasn't appropriate for you to say without saying that, or
Right,
you shouldn't have done that because it made me feel like crap, whatever.
right.
Yeah.
And for me, it's devastating when somebody uses those I statements to me, only because I'm hypersensitive that I don't ever want to hurt anybody. So if somebody comes back to me and says, I felt this when you did that, and I'd be like, oh, I'm a horrible person. But you have to do that to open up those lines of communication, because otherwise, if they don't, then they just sit over there and stew, and you're like, well, what's the matter? Nothing, not, right? And
But
you
then
don't have that communication.
it also gives you a chance to explain what you were trying to get across to them.
Right.
And, maybe they'll see it differently than after I don't mean explain yourself totally, but, you
Right.
could explain why, whatever.
And it gives you the opportunity to apologize.
Right.
If
Exactly.
you did something, you certainly didn't want anybody to feel that way. Well, maybe some people do, but you have that opportunity to apologize. Other ways to nurture your relationship: connect with your community. We'll talk more about that. Be positive. When you have a positive outlook, other people will enjoy being with you, and you'll enjoy yourself. So put them aside, put your disappointments and complaints and things, put them aside. Because think about that. We've all been with people who, like, all they seem to do is complain about life. And you don't want to be with that Eeyore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had a bad day, and you hear about it 6 ways.
And
so
it brings you down.
It brings you down, right? Yeah. So be positive. Evaluate your emotional intelligence. So are you sensitive to others' emotions? If not, you may be missing the signals or the clues that they're giving you about what they need from you as a friend or a family member. Take an interpersonal skills test to find out where you can improve. They have one here. I don't know if I tried to click on that. I clicked on a few things and it led me nowhere, but if I can find that, I will put that in there. See what your EQ is, your emotional quotient or intelligence. Celebrate and compliment your family and friends. Smile and learn people's names. It makes me laugh because I have a hard time with that. People say, oh, this is so-and-so. And then I'd be like, and it goes right out of my head again. And one, it's not very respectful to the person that you've just met. So you have to find ways to kind of remember things. And I say one way to do it is to practice saying it out loud. As soon as they say your name, you say it out loud. So at least you hear it again, and then you make it more internal by saying it yourself. But I was watching a TV show, Zoe's Incredible Playlist. Anybody ever see that?
I haven't seen
I
it,
don't
but I've
know
heard
what
of
it's
it.
on. I thought it was an Apple TV show, but I think it's on Peacock or whatever. But the premise is this girl hears people's internal monologues through song. So if they're feeling something, it's like as a fan of musical theater, it's a TV show with all this musical stuff in it, and they just break into song and dance. She's the only one that can see and hear this. So it's upon her to help them in some way.
Mhm.
But in this show, she works for a tech company, and the big boss was like, oh, what's that person's name? That's Shannon from accounting. She's like, oh yeah, how come I can't remember people's names? I need somebody to be a bug in my ear and tell me. And then they start inventing this device that you can wear, like a little computer in your ear. I'm not sure how it works. It's all fictional, of course, but it would tell you people's names or tell you some piece of information that you needed, and I think
Mhm.
that's the scary part about face-to-face interactions and communication is, can we hold up are we confident enough to hold up our end of the conversation? What I am terrible at that. I can prepare, and have a conversation here with you guys, but meeting somebody new, it's, I don't know. I talked about it last week a little bit, how I was always like that. I didn't have a whole lot of self-esteem, and I wasn't one of the popular kids. So I didn't have enough
Confidence?
confidence in myself to be able to feel like I could have a conversation with somebody that maybe was on a different level, or how I perceived we're on a different level. But I think when you're kids, I think it comes down to, there's people who can fake it a lot better.
Mhm.
They may have the same underlying issues that you do, but they fake it a lot better. Anyway, so
And
go ahead.
you know what I've also found too, in trying to remember people's names when I first meet them, I try to use their name as part of a sentence a couple of times. When I'm going, oh, Kathy, blah, 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 or oh, Linda, so I can try to remember it. Like you said, hearing it. So you're hearing yourself, you're saying it, and you're going to try to remember that. But also, it's okay if you're in the conversation and you forget somebody's name, go, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I've done that a number of times, and they just kind of chuckle. And it's not that, it's that we got so much into a conversation that I wasn't thinking about their name, but we were talking about something else. And I go to say goodbye, and I go, I can't remember your name.
And more than likely, they've already forgotten yours.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Restate it. Say it again.
Yeah.
Let's see, a few more on here. Build a culture of respect. And that's just respecting people who are different, not tearing people down. Make an action plan. So this is something I have to do. And it's actually one of my goals that I've not been successful with yet, but I'm going to keep on trying. And one of my goals is to make a personal contact with somebody. I actually said 3 somebodies each day, but I realized that I wasn't going to make it to 3. So I've changed it to 1 or 2, where I have an interaction, where I reach out to somebody in a personal way. So you almost have to put it on your schedule. And you have to say, I need to get out. I'm going to call so-and-so, make a plan, and go out and get out and socialize. Because I hear it a lot from people that, like, oh yeah, I want to be invited, but I don't really want to go. And we tend to stay home and, go to bed early because it's just too much trouble to go out and socialize. But you need that socialization.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, once you do get dressed and you go out and you socialize,
You feel good.
you feel good and you love that you did that. So you've got to get it on the schedule. You got to put it in your plans and get out, right?
And then another thing I think is good too is, I know you said reach out to someone, talk to them on the phone, or actually get out and go see them or whatever. And I still even go back to a little snail mail card, you know, even with that, lets them know you're thinking of them. And if you can't get a hold of them on the phone, try something like that. And, you know, maybe they'll reach out back to you and call you and, you know, you'll connect. But I think that's a good way too, even though you're not face to face. It was something heartfelt, I think, that you did for them. You know, you had to get the card, you had to write the note, you had to mail it, you know. So it makes them feel a little special in that way too, I think.
I just realized that I hadn't checked in with Facebook to see if anybody was watching with us today. And let's see. Doesn't seem to be anybody there right now, but I will keep an eye open in case we get any conversations, any questions, things. All right. I thought maybe Michelle would pop on today, but that's okay. Let's see. Action plan, respect your partner, learn to disagree or argue in a positive, constructive way. We kind of hit on that a little bit. All right, Dr. Axe's number 3 is practice small acts of kindness. I don't know about you, but the times that I've done that, where I've reached out, paid for the Dunkin' Donuts car behind me, it just makes me feel good. And I'm like, you know, you just feel so good about yourself, little endorphins or whatever. But there's easy ways to do that where you don't actually have to, it doesn't have to cost you anything, right?
Right.
You can do acts of kindness. So smiling at people. It's really hard to do out in public nowadays because everybody's got a mask, but I still smile, hoping that it goes into my eyes, you know.
And not only that, when you're at like maybe the grocery store and the cashier is there and you can smile, but like you said, you're wearing a mask. So how about a quick, have a nice day, have a great evening, thank you very much. Any of those things that are verbal, they can pick up on as well. And sometimes they do see your eyes smiling, and you know.
I just like laugh because sometimes you get into that, have a nice, like I just do it out of habit and I want to do it. So I'm like, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever gone round robin with it. Have a great day. You too. You have a great day. Thanks. You too. All right. You too. And you just like don't know how to end it because you're just wishing each other well the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, there's something I do all the time. I read this once. If I'm in a store and I see a beautiful outfit on somebody or their hair, like some lady had green hair, and I'm like, oh, I love your hair. I do that to perfect strangers, you know.
That's good.
I love your hair. Oh my God, that's a gorgeous outfit, you know. I've started doing that, you know, if it really hits me for whatever reason.
Yeah, you don't want to, you know, if somebody comes up to you and goes, you know, if you don't really mean it and
then
you
don't say
compliment, it doesn't register with them.
Right.
In fact, I think you're making fun of them. You know, what's wrong with this outfit? You know, like I think so. You do have to be genuine. You just have to be excited about something. Not the second one on this list, and this list it's lettered because of the way my outline is. It starts with A and it goes to double N. So I'm not going to read them all. But the second one on the list is writing handwritten notes, and specifically thank you notes. My mom was a stickler for this. She would bug you until she got that thank you note, or a call would suffice for her, but she really wanted a thank you note to acknowledge that she did something nice for you. She went out of her way to send you a present. And she'd always say, if I don't get that thank you, they're not getting one for next birthday or whatever it was. They're not getting anything from me. She always sent it anyway. But I was a stickler for handwritten notes because as a teacher, you were always getting things from students. Every single student got a handwritten note from me. I understand the why, but some of my teacher friends started creating a postcard that said, "Thank you so much for thinking of me." And they would give that, and it wouldn't really personalize it in any way. It was just like, here's the standard thank you, thank you, thank you. And they felt like their work was done because they sent a thank you note. But it makes it so much more personal. I was taught to thank them for the thought, for the gift, and then state something specific about that gift, how you're going to use it, or where you're going to put it, or something, in order to really make that person feel like your gift is worthwhile.
Right.
Whether it was or not. I didn't need the 87th candle or coffee mug, but you still, you thank them for their thoughts and for their, the idea that they went out of their way to get something for you, something meaningful. So
it's almost like, not that they expect that from you with the thank you, but then it shows them you have that mutual relationship of, I'm going out of my way for you too. Thank you for going out of your way. This is my, you're writing out that personal thank you to them. So it's showing that you respect them and that you appreciate what they did for you.
And, the other thing that, in the back of my mind is, nobody teaches these kids how to write a thank you note anymore. So I'm going to show them one, and I'm going to give it to them, and hopefully pass on, that habit, that maybe they'll go out of their way and write a thank you note. So pay it forward is one of the small acts of kindness, which we already talked about. That thing you're going to sell, why not give it away? Why not donate it or just give it away instead of, having a garage sale, which I'm more of the mind of that lately, but not necessarily out of generosity, but out of the fact that running a garage sale is a lot of work. And I did about 5 of them in 2019 before we moved. Like every other week, I was opening up the iPod, the pod. We had a big pod. I had all of my teacher books in there. I had all this stuff. So much work. We made a lot of money, but not nearly as much. We ended up giving away more than we made, probably. But yeah, give it away. Somebody else can benefit from it. I see that on some of the there's Facebook groups, and then there's a Nextdoor group. And a lot of people are just saying, I got this, if you want it,
come get it.
Yeah. Hold doors open, right? I see that happens a lot around here. I don't know if it happened a lot before, but I was always about that, and even taught my son to go ahead and open the door for your elders.
Right.
I like this one. Pass books on. When you're done reading something, pass it on, or leave it in a public place for others to find. I know people have those little like mailbox libraries or something. They put them outside and they take a book, leave a book, or take a book, whatever.
Right.
So you're sharing with someone else. Ask elderly neighbors if they need anything. Need to run chores or errands, whatever. Tell your loved ones you love them regularly. It's important to hear. You might know it in an intrinsic level, but you have to hear it. You want to hear it,
Right.
And my family was not like that. I mean, there was love abounding in my family, but my dad never said I love you. Even my mom, I don't think ever said I love you. I think it was just too personal for them to share in that way, especially as we got older. But now I can say it to my dad and he can say it back and he doesn't cry. In the beginning, when I first started saying it, he used to cry. I love you too. It would just make him cry. But now I got him where he's not crying anymore. Maybe he doesn't love me as much. I don't know, but I'm kidding. Gosh, there's so many different ways here. Put coins in somebody's meter if you think it's going to be running out. You see an expired meter, put some coins in it for that person. That's an act of kindness that they won't. They may not even realize, but You will.
That'll save them from getting a parking ticket. Possibly.
Take a friend to dinner, stand up for others, volunteer. We're going to talk more about volunteering in the community service part. Stop speaking ill of others. Let your words be kind. Gosh, if we all did that, we wouldn't have the trouble that we have in this world right now. I don't talk politics because it's too sensitive, but the whole idea that we have this split in our country, and it's not a complete split, because I know there's people that fall on the spectrum in different ways, but you know, you have the A's and the B's fighting against each other, and all the A's think that they're right, and how stupid are you, B, for thinking what you think, and vice versa. And we are nasty to each other and instead of trying to understand the other's point of view. I try not to pair with the side, although I have certain beliefs, but I also try to be open-minded to what the other side is thinking. Like, okay, I don't pretend to know everything. And I think that sometimes because we're socially isolated, because we are socially, I don't know, infants in some ways sometimes, that we want to fit in. And so we pick a side because now we have the protection of the side. But, and that's okay, but you can't go back. You can't revert to being nasty and talking ill of other people and breaking somebody down just to make yourself feel good and to make yourself feel more important. And I think that's what we see in politics. And that's what we see in the people who follow a political side, the safety in numbers idea, which sometimes works for you, right? But in this situation, the safety in numbers, when you pick a side and then you engage in that nasty rhetoric of, you know, in arguments, that just tears everybody down. And it doesn't make, you know, doesn't present you in a flattering light either, right? So don't speak ill of other people, you know, try to be open-minded and understand. And we talked about that earlier with the culture, right? Like, try to understand people of other cultures, but I think it has to be more. Try to understand people who think differently than you do.
Right.
Not just.
And that covers everyone.
Right. Because who's to say that you're right? You know, we don't like to put ourselves in that position where we're not right. What maybe I'm not right, because now we feel vulnerable, right? But it's okay to be wrong, and that's how we learn. And sometimes people change their minds once they open up their ears to hear the other side, or at least they maybe change their position a little bit, you know, maybe not totally, woohoo, I'm gonna jump sides. That's not the intent, but it's the intent is to get along and to love each other and respect each other. Okay, I'm stepping off of that soapbox there. Let's see. Give blood. I haven't been able to make myself do that yet. I should, but I'm a big scaredy cat when it comes to that. The last one on the list is please and thank you. Good manners goes a long way. That's just, you know, that's being kind, especially when somebody's not being kind to you, you know, treat them with kindness, kill them with kindness. Number 4, we don't have a whole lot to say about that because I think you already covered it, which send notes to messages to loved ones. You know, write that note, buy that card, write a letter. It took me a year, but I did that. My cats just went kind of crazy. They're chasing each other. I sent out Christmas cards 2019. And I got a few notes back from people. Well, how are you doing with this? And what's doing with that? And I'm like, I put it in a pile saying, I have to answer them with a real letter, you know? And I don't even know if I have like emails and things for some of these people. I just have addresses. It took me a year But I sat down in January, I put it on my list. I said, you're going to write back. So I sat and I type, because handwriting for me is, I don't like it. I like to be able to write it out, type it out, and then change it, edit it as I go, and make it look nice, and then print it out, and boom. But I did put it in a card and send, so I think that's more meaningful, you took the time to communicate with somebody and see how they're doing. So, all right. Number 5, get involved in the community. And I haven't done this in a while, I must admit. So my social health must not be as good as it should be. It says community service benefits your social health and the well-being of your neighbors. It allows you to meet new people, contribute to a cause that matters to you, and improve the lives of those in need. And let's see, there's 7 benefits. This is there. I think I have the most on this. There's so many pages about this, but again, I think this can also be something that helps your professional life. So number 1 is you can meet new friends and business contacts who are outside of your normal circle. So expanding your social circles. You can be connected to the pulse of what's happening. So when you're volunteering, you kind of know what's going on, and it is more eye-opening, awakening for you. It helps you to be proactive and share your voice and opinion when you actually get in there, instead of the people who are on the sidelines going, I don't like how that's being done. Get in there and
change it if you want to. Yeah, your ideas.
It's like they always say, the people who vote, if you don't vote, then you can't complain about it because you didn't voice your opinion. So get in there. Number 4, it helps people feel you're helping other people feel good when you volunteer. It's a place where you can get advice. Again, you're broadening your social circles, and so you're going to meet new people that may offer a different perspective. Seek professional development opportunities. I think that's with connecting. Did you talk about that, Kathy, about someone who, your son, who goes to the different networks? And
my brother did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would within their community, they would all get together and talk and everything, and they would visit each other's businesses to find out more about it. Mm-hmm. So if they felt that they could wholeheartedly recommend, these businesses to some of their friends, family, or their customers, patients, whatever, then it would be more meaningful in that way. So that's how the business people connected. My daughter did that downtown Rochester here in Michigan too. She's been at some of those meetings as well.
Networking
meetings.
And volunteering can also help you find your passion, because you may be interested in a cause, or you might be interested in whatever it is. But then you might discover hidden talents or passions for something that may even drive your professional career in a different light, in a different direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What does volunteering do for you? It helps connect you to other people, which is a big plus with social development, right? It helps you make new friends and contacts. It increases your social and relationship skills because you're out there, and through the act of whatever it is you're doing when you're volunteering, there's just natural conversation that happens. And so you're going to get better at being in social situations just because you're out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it also says volunteering as a family is good. It might be a challenge, but children watch everything you do. So by giving back to the community, you show them firsthand how volunteering is effective and how it makes a difference. So,
and I think that's really important. We have some friends that are, okay, I'll use the term, they wealthy, and they've always taken their kids to a soup kitchen for around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. because these kids had everything they could possibly want, but they were shown that, you know, there are other people in need. So don't be frivolous with what you have, you know, like just because we're able to purchase these things for you, or you are able to go to the store and buy these things. Not everyone has that, you know, has that benefit of doing that.
Right.
So their kids actually worked the soup kitchen. I mean, helped serve and clean up tables. And I thought that was such a great, and these kids are adults now, but that was such a great lesson and a great thing for them to learn about.
I think that's a great first start, you know, first step.
Right.
But I think if you make it a once a year event, that
I know they
it could
did
be
other
more
things
effective
too.
if you could
Right.
do it throughout the year at different various times, like once a month or
And they've
4
done that.
times a year or something
Yeah.
like that.
They've done other things too, but the soup kitchen thing really hit me
Yeah.
because, you know, it's someplace where we would go and we donated things to as well, but we didn't work at, but we were donating to there as well. And they've donated other things throughout the year there. The kids go with them and collect things. But the soup kitchen, I think because they're interacting with the people right there,
Right.
that's why I keyed in on that. It was such
Yeah.
a beneficial thing
Right.
for the kids to be able to do that.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I regret not doing that with my kids. Although, like, I was real involved with Girl Scouts. Jesse and I did Girl Scouts, so we did a lot of social community service events through them through that. So, but yeah, I think that's a good first start. Volunteering has something called the happiness effect, and London School of Economics examined the relationship between volunteering and measures of happiness in a large group of American adults. They found the more people volunteered, the happier they were, according to a study in social science and medicine. So compared with people who never volunteered, the odds of being very happy rose 7% among those who volunteered monthly, and 12% for people who volunteered every 2 to 4 weeks. So the more you volunteer, the happier you are. That's kind of cool. Among weekly volunteers, 16% felt very happy, a hike in happiness comparable to having an income of $75,000 to $100,000 versus $20,000, said the researchers. So kind of interesting. So in addition to being happy, volunteering can also have really good effects on your actual health, mental and physical health. It increases your self-confidence, it combats depression, and it helps you stay physically healthy. Kathy, I know you had more to talk about that, the health benefits of volunteering. Or did you already talk about those?
I think those were kind of mixed in earlier.
Okay. But yeah, so lots of ways to help, you know, let's see, let me say specifically what they say about increased self-confidence. So it's like when you pay it forward, right? You feel good about yourself. So it's going to make you feel more self-confident. It's improve your self-esteem and your life satisfaction. So I think that's cool. It combats depression. So reducing the risk of depression is another important benefit. A key risk factor for depression is social isolation, and volunteering keeps you in regular contact with other people so that you are not isolated. And as far as staying physically healthy, it's especially beneficial in older adults. Studies have found that those who volunteer have a lower mortality rate than those who do not, even when considering factors like the health of the participants. Volunteering has also been shown to lessen symptoms of chronic pain and heart disease. That's crazy. I'm going to get my dad out volunteering. All right. And another benefit of volunteering, it can advance your career. It can give you career experience by volunteering in a place that is similar to your chosen field. And it can give you those valuable job skills. And when it comes to volunteering, passion and positivity are the only requirements. And their last big thing there is volunteering brings fun and fulfillment to your life. I think you have to choose wisely what you're going to volunteer with, right?
Mhm.
You can't volunteer just for the sake of volunteering. I suppose you can if you're open-minded and you're willing to try anything, but try to find something, I think, that meets with your specific skills or criteria or your passions, right?
Mhm.
So if you don't like animals, don't volunteer at an animal shelter.
Or if you're allergic to them.
Right. Find what you're good at and seek out those opportunities. So,
Right.
I had the greatest volunteer job.
yeah.
I loved it. I did other volunteering, but I was a cuddler. I cuddled newborn babies that were in NICU, in the neonatal ICU.
Oh my gosh, the endorphins must be like.
I used to say, I don't know who's benefiting more from this, the baby or me.
And I think that's what it should be in true volunteerism,
Mhm.
right? That you
Right.
get just as much out of it as you're giving. Wow.
I loved
That's
it.
awesome.
When did you
Absolutely.
do that? When were you doing that?
I was doing that before I moved to the Villages.
Okay.
I did it in Newport Richey when I lived in Newport Richey in Florida for
Wow.
about a year, and then I moved.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I mean, I did that, and I also volunteered in another part of the hospital.
Mhm.
I swore
Wow.
I'd never go back to a hospital because I worked in a hospital for 20 years in the clerical side. But
Right. But this is a more
but
comforting.
holding those babies was like, oh my
Mhm.
God, just, I sat there I did your 4-hour shifts. We had shifts. So for 4 hours, I'd sit there and I'd hold a newborn baby. And I'd
Aw.
be like, oh.
Oh my
And
God.
you're not allowed to do anything with the babies. You don't feed them. You don't do
No.
anything. You're just allowed to hold them.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
and
my
it'd be
goodness.
so cool. I
Wow.
loved it.
That's nice.
So I'm thinking of going to Leesburg. They must have a maternity ward. They don't have one here in the Villages. But
No.
No.
No, I don't think there's such a need for that.
not here, but
Not in the village.
maybe in Leesburg or Ocala. But I just loved it because I don't have grandkids, and I doubt I ever will. So it filled the need for me,
Mhm.
and it filled the need for them.
Oh,
And the
that's
nurses
great.
were so appreciative because they could get more work done because the
Right.
baby wasn't crying, So
Oh my goodness.
it was a great.
I love
And
it.
then I made friends, with in the other part of my job.
Mhm.
So, and it wasn't a job, it's volunteering, but it was fun. I enjoyed
It's
it.
work. It's work that you
Mhm.
give of yourself
Enjoy.
or
Yeah.
in return, other than that satisfaction, which again is going to improve your own health, your own mental health, your own
Mhm.
physical health. It has so many different benefits.
I had plans to volunteer again, but then COVID came, and
I
so
know
I'm not
it's
playing.
hard right
I
now.
will volunteer again. So,
I think a simple thing, it goes back to one of the other random acts of kindness, would be like a letter writing or card writing campaign that you could just send, create. I should do that. I've got so many cards that come to me. They want me to make a donation and they send you like gift cards and things. And I save them, and then I should just randomly do them and maybe
and then,
give them to the hospital, they give to people or nursing home or something like that.
Mhm.
But you can.
I'm doing something for Lent now, which a bunch of people are doing, is sending 40 cards for the 40 days of Lent.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And sending them I've sent them to people I don't even know, like people that are suffering or what have you. I've sent them to people I know. I have to send, not that I have to, but I volunteered to send out 40 cards over the 40 days of Lent.
I like that idea.
That's down. I'm gonna I'm just making
3 of them
notes.
sitting right here ready to be
Now,
ready to be
did you
mailed
make
when I
the
get the
cards? I
mail.
know you're very crafty. Are you making the cards or are you?
I'm making all of them. Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's
So,
beautiful.
That's amazing.
That is so nice.
yes. I really got into making the cards from COVID. So COVID had a lot of bad things, but I think it forces you to do things differently.
Right.
I'm also social networking. I'm playing games. This week I played 3 games, but virtually. I don't know how they figured it out. It's a big card game and Rummy Cube.
Yeah.
I love games. I love cards.
Nice.
And we play for 3 hours. We sit there for 3
Wow.
We're each in our own homes and we're on like Zoom or something. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they figured it out. But it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and you're talking to people that I've never met. Also, you know, you're socializing with someone. I know one of them, you know, but I didn't know the other girls, the other ladies. So that was fun.
That's great.
I'm going to keep that up.
That, I think that's going to go right into the last part of our conversation here, which ways to improve your social relationships, your social health. One is behave like a social person. So for some people, it's really hard to get out there and meet people, or to, you know, to get away from the routine, which may be total social isolation right now. So you have to behave like a social person. So you have to fake it, you know, fake it till you make it. Don't allow anxiety to hold you back. Make the decision to talk to new people. Over time, it gets easier. It says start small if necessary. So if you going to a party or interacting with a larger group seems intimidating, you can't do that, then talk to the cashier at a store you go into, or make some of that small talk and practice that. And the nice thing about those types of interactions is they're 30 seconds, a minute at most. You don't have to worry about keeping up your end of the conversation for too long. It's just even just, you know, I like your dress. Where did you get it? Or, you know, have a great day. Little things. Start small and add on from there. Another thing to practice are open-ended questions, which we in our businesses are always talking about open-ended questions to get people to talk. And so learning a little bit more about how to be amazingly good at these open-ended questions would be knowing the difference between a closed-ended and an open-ended. So closed-ended questions are ones that are going to give you a yes or no answer, or a specific answer, you know, whatever it is. And then there's no
conversation going back and forth.
Conversation. So are you coming today? Yep.
What time are you going to be here?
Yeah. So open-ended questions are ones that usually start with how and why. Or you can say, tell me more about that, or in what way. You can expand. What can sometimes be closed or open depending on the question itself. But most of those who, what, where questions are specific and conversation enders. So are you going? Do you like him? Or whatever. So are, do, who, when, where, which. So the whys and the hows are ones that are going to get people talking, because they usually have to explain a little bit more rather than give a specific one-word answer. So practice that. Look for those open-ended questions.
Listen to what they're saying. So if you want the conversation to continue, then you can ask another question about maybe some of the content or whatever they said to you in their first answer. So it's always going, you know, you're going back to them and letting them tell you their story of whatever it is. You know,
if you're training yourself to be a more social person, you might want to have in your bag of tricks some of these open-ended questions that you're ready to talk about, you know, at a moment's notice. But again, don't be thinking about what question you're going to ask. Think about listen to the answers that you can answer appropriately and go on with whatever question, and be spontaneous. Let the next question pop into your head.
Yeah.
Encourage other people to talk about themselves. If you have a hard time talking about you, ask some questions about them, and find out about, their careers, their families, their passion, their hobbies, whatever it is, their pets. People really like to talk about themselves, so it doesn't take much to encourage them to do so. And that builds that relationship because they feel like you're interested in them.
And also, if you run into that person again and you've remembered some of those things and bring that up in a question, or, hey, how's, your so-and-so doing that you told me about last time we met? So they feel really important to you, and it makes that connection even stronger because they know you really listened to what you told them or what they said to you. And so you can go back with that too. And it just makes it a stronger bond, stronger relationship, if that's what, you're looking to do.
And I'm not beyond making notes.
Right,
when you're
either.
talking with somebody, you go home, you can write down a couple of things that you didn't want to forget. I have, for my business, I have cards on people. And so sometimes if they tell me something, an ache or a pain that's bothering them, I might jot it down. I might write down the names of their kids. So I don't, so I can feel like I have more of a connection with them. So.
But don't you feel special too if somebody says, hey, Linda, how is, or, hey, you told me that you did this. How did that turn out? Or, whatever.
Right. Yeah. When you can make it personal, so much better. So becoming a more social person, create some goals for yourself. Maybe you want to practice one particular skill, or you want to start attending a social activity, establish that goal, and then work on strategies that will improve your social life. And they say use a SMART goal, which are, I can never remember them. I've used them with my oil business. I've used them when I was teaching, but they are specific, measurable, attainable, right? Yeah. I don't remember, but you also can measure them. Like you can, they're very specific. Then you can measure that if you're making progress or not. They're goals that you can attain. What the heck are the other ones? I will look for that before we end because that's important. Offer compliments generously is another one. So I think those compliments is a good way to get started, a good way to just interact with people, and also hits on the random acts of kindness, right? Yes. All right. I'm going to look for that for 1 second about those SMART goals. That way I have it. Oh, good. I found the link right away. I know. I love when it comes together. Okay. So they are, well, I will just share the screen. How about that? That way I don't have to read it all. I probably will anyway, but so specific, measurable, attainable, relevant. So it's meaningful to you, right? And time-based, which means it has a deadline. So we used to write those SMART goals with the students, and they would have to say something very, very specific. I am going to score I'm going to get a B or better on every test. And then I'm not giving a very good example of that right now. Let's see if they give an example. So they talk about all of them. Well, measurable, specific is what is that thing? What is exactly you want to achieve? I want to lose weight is not specific. I want to lose 20 pounds is specific. By the end of July of this year makes it time related.
Yeah.
The 20 pounds makes it measurable, like how many pounds, not how many. And relevant to you, of course, you wanted to do this for your health. Let's see. All you need to do is weigh yourself on January 1st and then weigh yourself at the end. That's for the measurable one. Attainable is realistic. So if you say, I want to lose 200 pounds in 6 months, maybe that's not attainable. Maybe that's not being realistic. For any goal to be achieved, it has to start with relevant goals. So if losing weight is doable with the lifestyle you have, and then it's relevant to you. So anyway, that's the SMART goals. SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant. And what? Go away. I can't stop it because I was being hidden, but I will stop sharing and I will add that to our links for today. To wrap it up, social well-being can be defined as our ability to effectively interact with people, the people around us, and create a support system that includes family and friends. Social isolation or being alone doesn't always mean loneliness. I know you're going to talk about that a little bit, Kath. And steps to improving social wellness includes disconnecting from technology, improving your communication skills, and evaluate your own emotional intelligence of how well you relate to what other people are feeling. So, Kathy, you wanted to talk about alone versus like that social isolation, alone versus being lonely.
Right. So being alone at times is actually good for you because it offers you time to reflect on different things, or maybe just take a pause in the day, so you can think about different things and release any, pent up stuff in your mind, to let it go. It can also help improve your mental health and relationships. It can boost your creativity because you have time to really think about different things, and it can also help you plan for the future. So loneliness looks different because when being alone isn't a choice, that's what loneliness is. When being alone isn't a choice, it can make loneliness, and maybe it may become a health concern, especially if it leads to depression. So if you're forced to be alone, like with this pandemic, if you live alone anyway to begin with, then you couldn't venture out or you couldn't see anyone. That could cause depression for people. Mm-hmm. And it's not just adults, it could be children as well, because they're not, able to get out and interact with other kids. So yeah, that could happen. I mean, if you have a spouse that has passed away during that pandemic or even before, and you're more secluded, maybe your kids don't live close by, maybe you didn't have a big circle of friends. So all of that can lead to depression.
Yep, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share a bit of my screen for a moment because I wanted to just share this. We learn about this as educators. This is one of the main things that we learn is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And other people have probably heard of it through, I don't know if you're in any kind of mental health, psychology, sociology, but Maslow was, I don't know what he was, psychologist who came up with this list that it makes a lot of sense that before we can actually love ourselves, before we can realize our full potential, we have a slew of other things that have to happen for us. Down at the bottom are our physiological needs, having food and water and shelter, taking care of the things that we need to keep functioning as a person, as just as a human being, feeding ourselves, water, oxygen, all of those things. And then our safety needs, feeling that we are potentially, we're safe from those potentially dangerous situations, like locking our house at night or having a good job, those things. Then the next one is the important one. And this one is where that social health takes place, is that love and belonging. You have to feel like you're part of a group, you're part of a family or some kind of a social situation where you are valued. And so you can't do anything else until you take care of those things. And that love and belonging is pretty darn low on those needs, right? Other than feeding ourselves and breathing and feeling safe, then we have to feel loved and appreciated. So that's what we've been talking about all day today, right? That's the thing that we need that will promote our overall health, is making sure that we are socially healthy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then that self-love comes even later. You know, we have to acknowledge that we're worthwhile, that other people love us before we can love ourselves, which is kind of convoluted, I think. But
yeah, that we need that verification from others rather than just feeling it inside.
Yeah. So to end, because boy, we had a long conversation today. Beyond meeting people on Zoom and talking to you today on Zoom, do you have a goal for today? Do you have one other social thing that you're going to do for yourself today? Anybody?
I'm going to pick up the phone and call my aunt. I really am. I just haven't spoken to her on the phone in a long time. And she lives in Canada, so it's not like I can just step out and see her. So I think that would make me feel good too.
Yeah.
Is hearing her and, you know, just chatting for a while.
I like that. That's a very specific goal. That's great. Mary, you got anything you're going to do today? You're going to work on your letters, your cards?
I'm working on my cards today. Yeah.
That's good.
I haven't been able to make cards since Tuesday. I've been so bloody busy.
Gotcha. Well,
playing games.
I am going to go through my prayer list, because I say my prayers at night. I have them on my phone, on my notes. And so I pull them up, and then not every night, but when I look at at the names of those people, I think, gee, I wonder how they're doing. I pray for them every night, but I wonder how they're doing. So I'm going to go through that list and connect with some of those people today, you know, or at least put them on a list to connect over the next week. Some today, some tomorrow, because there's a bunch of them. So getting out there and finding out how people are really doing, connecting and letting them know that they matter to me. So if you're watching, I hope you make a plan for your social health to get out and connect with other people in a positive, meaningful way, even if it's just a smile. Thanks for being with us, everyone. Another great show.
Thank you.
We're going longer and longer. We do like to talk, but it's so meaningful. And as we've said before, that it's just the tip of the iceberg. Every time we delve into a subject, there's no way we can cover it in an hour, but at least we get people thinking and talking. So,
yep.
And you did an awesome job, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for participating, Mary. We appreciate it
every week.
And we appreciate all your comments as well.
Oh, thank you.
Interaction.
Well, go out and be social and have a great Saturday.
Okay, you too. Take care.
All right.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye-bye.